Apparently, they dragged me on Twitter. I don't give a fuck because Twitter's not a real place.
Twitter? Oh no, don't be trying to Twitter me, boy.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Hip Hop Twitter. I am your host, Vegas, host of Hip Hop Twitter, and also host of Championship Rounds podcast. Look us up. We talking boxing, you know what I'm saying, unfiltered and all that good stuff. And with me, as always, the co-pilot, the Puerto Rican Robin? I don't think so. Yids, what's good, man?
What's happening, Vegas? How you doing?
Chilling, man. Literally. Before we get started, right, because this is how podcasts do, I will say I'm kind of proud of our last episode, right? We talked about Elon Musk and Twitter and the potential changes and some of the changes that have, happened at that point in time. It has gotten crazier since then. I have handed my soul over to Illuminati. I am now paid verified. But let me explain. I am a content creator, and I am probably on every social media platform that's worth being on. Why? Because that's where the audience is. Twitter Blue was something that a brother was going to test out one way or another, but considering the conversation and all of the changes that could come to the app as a result of Elon Musk purchasing it, it's more testing for me, right? The greatest thing about it is you can cancel at any time. So I did not do it for a check. I don't give a about that. What I do care about is editing tweets and 10-minute videos to promote Hip Hop Twitter, right? Imagine if we can give you a 10-minute snapshot of Hip Hop Twitter that would make you want to go watch the full video or listen to the full podcast. So that's the purpose. But I was kind of proud that not only did we provide information, but we talked about it in the context of Hip Hop Twitter, and that's why it made the most sense. What do you feel, Jens? How you feel about, having a serious, somewhat serious episode?
No, I thought when you brought up the topic, look, timely. We can use that word. It was very timely to speak on it. And you, between the two of us, you're more knowledgeable about what's happened and what is going to be happening as a result of Elon Musk purchasing Twitter. So, I think it was great content. Although it didn't, we weren't talking about albums or crazy takes, but I mean, this affects all of us, hip hop Twitter especially. So yeah, man, I'm proud of that episode also because it opened my eyes to a lot of things that I hadn't really either thought about or even read about, until you actually said it. So, I mean, great choice of topic.
Yeah, indeed. And I think a lot of people appreciated that, we didn't ignore what was happening when we have a show that's based off of Twitter. You know what I'm saying? And then plus for those who may want to ask, yes, when I signed up for Twitter Blue, there was a limo waiting for me. Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion fed me grapes as I drove to work. So,
yes,
of course,
indeed.
that didn't happen, but I just got a blue check. Okay, whatever. All right, man. So since we are now officially Hip Hop Twitter verified, so to speak, what the are people talking about on Hip Hop Twitter this week?
Future has more timeless bodies of work than both Tupac and Biggie. Their album sales ballooned only because of them being deceased. Future has more classic music than both of them combined.
Classic music. This isn't even like a one tweet, get a rise out of people one sentence, I should say. This is like somebody who felt like they did their research and here's the evidence. All right. Well, let me just say that's full of they're full of that's one, right? The indication that Future is even in the sentence of Biggie or Tupac, if you know anything about radio, not from a radio professional standpoint, but just as a listener, having listened to radio, I never hear the older Future songs in the throwback mixes. Never. I'll hear Kendrick from that time. I'll hear Drake from that time. Lil Wayne, all of that. But I never hear people throw in, and I'm talking about Future records that were actually big, right? He had a record that was big with Rihanna. I never hear it. And it was big. I never hear it. So there goes your timeless. Two, yes, you have a point. You know, I think Biggie's numbers and Tupac's were extended because of their deaths and the controversy around their deaths, and it sparks interest in the rappers, and people want to buy it because they missed them, and people want to buy it because they want to see what all the fuss is about. But I kind of feel like they also paved the way for Future to be able to sell in the way he sells. Now, what are Future's numbers? Because their numbers is album numbers, right? I could see if Future had some singles that were more successful as far as numbers, but I'm willing to bet money he don't have albums like that, right? That did that much work. This generation only streams, gents. Streaming numbers going up. That's it. Nobody buying. So, what do you think about this statement? Are they really trying to make an actual case?
I think they're trying to make a case the way it's worded, but there's really not a case. And I mean, you exposed it in your opening argument, so to speak. I mean, they're timeless. I couldn't say timeless for the same reason you said. No, I don't hear it as far as older songs go. Now, Future had a nice mixtape run. You know, he had a lot of, you know, hot mixtapes. But I mean, this is one of those things where there's no reason to compare these three artists at all. The dude, Future, he's still making music because I don't think he's done.
Yeah, and look, not to spend too much more time on this because it's stupid, but I kind of look at it like I'm tired of a generation that has music that I do like, right? I'm definitely not a trapped in the 90s, you know, close my ears if it's new type of guy. I like what I like, and there are Future records that I like. But y'all have to stop trying to qualify your artists by comparing them to our artists, because you know what that says? That says they're nothing without that comparison. So you can call him as great as you want, but he needs to be great by saying he's better than Biggie or Tupac.
Right.
You're acknowledging their greatness by saying he's better than them. So Future, you may feel Future's in the conversation, but if you have to break down other legendary artists in order to uplift yours, they're not as legendary. It's just not. What the fuck else are people talking about on hip hop Twitter?
Never before today have I even seen or heard anyone put Scarface among
the greatest MCs.
This coming from my childhood, right? They're coming from my childhood.
Hold on. MF Doom is a far better MC than Scarface, and it's not even close. Not
even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. First of all, shut up, okay? Like Lil Richie said, shut up. Second of all, Kill gonna say he don't know who Little Richie is, just like he said he didn't know who Aaron Neville is, but that's beyond the point. That's an Easter egg for y'all. Follow us. But come on, man. Like, first of all, don't ever disrespect Scarface in that way. Do not disrespect that man. Up north, cats didn't even know he was like. I know they're like, oh, Texas is not the South. Guess what? To New York, yes, he is. You know what I'm saying? Because it's down there. Okay, that's all we know. He's down there. But nevertheless, I mean, Yansen, you could chime in on this, but me and the wife were talking about the song "Mind's Playing Tricks on Me," right? And you know me, I started getting into my hip hop philosophy bag, thinking about that record, and like, you know what made that record so ill was because it, in a lot of ways, they were talking about mental illness.
Right.
Who the
exactly
is doing
right.
that in hip hop in that way at that time? And all their verses are popular, but Scarface's stood out. And what makes it even greater is the fact that it was really based off of his real life experiences with mental health issues.
Agreed.
Come on, dog. Doom is like there's a reason why he's your rapper's favorite rappers. He's all style, which is dope. And it's okay to be that. They're too different.
Way different.
One dude is writing songs that connect with you on different levels, whereas Doom will have bars that you may agree with, but they're random. They're all random, coming up in different orders. So what do you say, Jens? Is Doom just washes Scarface when you're comparing the two?
No, absolutely not. It's a ridiculous comparison. You see, when cats do this, it's always extremes on either side. If you want to talk about MC and the stylistics and all like that, Doom is always going to come up on that side of the conversation. Scarface, just like you put it, you can't put it any better, still MCing, but in a more digestible manner in which you can hear it and you feel it, as you also said.
Right.
So, and I mean, there's a reason why Scarface is on a song with Jay-Z. If that don't tell you the man got utmost respect of his peers within hip hop, I don't know what else to tell you. And then like the part about nobody puts Scarface amongst the greats. I see people speaking on the greatness of Scarface daily.
Mm-hmm.
On hip hop Twitter.
I don't know where this person's coming from with it. This is another example of these crazy comparisons that there's no reason to make that comparison at all.
It's kind of like cats that want to debate hip hop, so they pick pressure points. And honestly, when you think about it, Jens, when I look at the success of specific episodes, particularly this season, right? That Coogee Rap one got a lot of engagement, right? Like, I'm not talking about just views. I'm just talking about people feeling the need to type and respond based off of the tweet, right? We've talked about a bunch of controversial tweets, but that one struck a nerve. And I think there's some cats who come on Twitter and they just straight start doing like that, right? Like start coming up with these damn, Doom is far superior. What? Like, I'm from that era. That's how I feel about hip hop Twitter. Like, oh, nah, you know what I'm saying? Nas is irrelevant. He got his fan base. He makes good music, but that's it. You just said two separate things that mean two totally different things. Shut the fuck up. Like,
oh shit. Ding,
all right,
ding,
that's
ding.
enough of the soapbox. All right. What else are people talking about on hip hop Twitter?
Can an argument be made that the Migos, R.I.P. Takeoff, have had a career equal to Run DMC as far as impact on the hip hop culture is concerned? are the Migos as impactful as Run DMC?
Now I saw the remnants of this. I didn't know what
Mm-hmm.
the tweet was. I
Right.
just saw responses. But when you say impact, I think their impact is similar. Right? I know you gray bearded motherfuckers don't like to hear that.
Shit.
Because you think about what Run DMC's impact means as far as, hip hop, right? Style and all that shit. But I think there's people who don't really do the knowledge on why Migos in particular is popular. I think anytime you have other artists, other successful artists, especially Drake, Drake stealing their flow extended his career. No lie. Because remember, there's started from the bottom Drake, and then there's trap beats Drake. Started from the bottom is kind of the Drake we know, right? From back in the day, 0 to 100. That's the Drake we know. Like that's how he raps. But it's the other joints, right? Like this joints with 21 Savage. Migos is synonymous, probably more so with having an original flow that everybody bit off of, right? Same thing with Future in a lot of ways, right? He did some things that made everybody start, including Drake, start to do that same thing, right? So I think there's definitely an impact there. But what people got to understand, like we said earlier, Run DMC's impact, and maybe it's unfair, right? Because I mean, it's not Migos' problem that they were born at a later time and this is what rap is today, right? But Run DMC was born at a time where they could be trendsetters for the culture going forward, whereas Migos is probably trendsetters for a generation or era in rap. But don't ever disrespect Run DMC ever again, okay? Don't ever do that because the Migos is cool, but Run DMC just has too much material when it comes to music of substance. Migos for me, like there was one album where I was like, yo, I like this album. And then I try to jump in the fan bag. You know how you do that, right? You really like an album. Like, man, I'm a fan now. And that second album come out and you be like, this is the same shit. Like, it's not different. So I don't think they're impactful in that way. I think they're just impactful as they had an original style, the way they placed their words, and the rest of the game, including Kendrick and J. Cole, copied it. That's where the comparisons may come from, right? They were trendsetters like Run DMC, but definitely not better. What do you think about these comparisons and Migos' impact versus Run DMC's?
Again, I mean, this is kind of the theme of the show almost. There's no need to call out Run DMC to compare to the Migos at all. And everything you said, I'm in agreement with as far as, you know, their style, the way they rhyme definitely influenced a lot of people. So I can see where maybe the person who's putting out these tweets, that's where they were coming from along those lines. But then also, like what do they call it? Like a triple time rhyme scheme or something like that. Now we've heard Monch do stuff like that. We've heard even Eminem do things like that. So I wouldn't say that it's a totally original cadence, but they definitely took that and really made it like their style. Like they do it so well that it's almost like their trademark if you hadn't heard others doing it before. And even the people who did it before, they really weren't doing it the way, you know, I mean, the Migos took that style and they kind of flipped it, like we like to say a lot of times in hip hop. So I mean, I don't have a problem with them being impactful because, I mean, look, you know, it's going to be 50 years of hip hop. There's a lot of artists. There's a lot of styles and trends that have come through. So they are simply adding to that. So that's why I say, let's let these cats be themselves without going backwards and pulling somebody to compare them to. Let's let these cats have their time. You know, I believe Run DMC would even say that. You know, I mean, of course they're not. Of course they're not as impact. Run DMC are etched in stone. There's not. Thor's hammer can't break the stone that Run DMC are etched in, right? So, you know, I don't look at it as being like blasphemous and, you know, all this crazy stuff. But, you know, when you see Migos and then right next to it, you see Run DMC, of course, the German Shepherdids are going to pop up and you're going to be like, huh? You know, you're going to Scooby-Doo it a little bit. But, yeah, I say let these cats, you know, what they have during this time, let that be what it is.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing, right? You know, you don't need to try to validate them by saying they're better than somebody who's also great. But I also can see the other side feeling like they don't get the respect they deserve unless you compare them to someone to get your attention from the older generation. To get your attention, I have to compare them to someone to get you to in hopes, right? To get you to listen and analyze. But I will say this, I still think their style was original because of the simple fact that of something you said earlier, they made it digestible. I know a lot of, we think Pharaoh Monch is dope, but I know a lot of people who will not listen to him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's too technical. But if you take the methods and slow them down so they're digestible, you know, sure, the bars ain't coming together in the same way as far as, you know, technically, right? As far as the words you put together, but the technique of taking that double time and slowing it down to a rhythm that's digestible and you can dance to it and you can do all of that. Yeah, that's Migos, but you don't need Run DMC in order to like Migos. Like,
no, you don't.
Just call them dope for what you like them for. Don't use Run DMC as a stepping stone in order to crown your champion. The fuck out of here. Like, that's the old head coming at me. Like I can't hold it back, man. Get the fuck out of here. What do you think about all of these comparisons and, you know, comparing Doom to somebody else, comparing Run DMC to Migos, comparing on it? Do you like when people have these kinds of tweets? Do you think they're trolling? Do you think they have a point? In a couple of cases, in particular to do with Future, he was trying to make a point based off of, I guess, facts in a lot of way, but facts from now and not facts from back when Biggie and Tupac ran things. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And also follow our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. But if that's too much for you to go find it, the link is in the description of this episode. Like and share, subscribe, and tell people who you know like this kind of content to check us out. On behalf of the homie Yents, I am Vegas. Tweet responsibly or edit them on Twitter Blue and be verified with me and have Cardi B feed you grapes. I'm just joking. Peace.
Peace.
Drop it on the random.